Hi, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Kiran, your alchemist here. And for the past 10 years, I've been navigating the exciting and ever evolving world of software engineering. I wrote my first line of code 10 years ago, and I've gained a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge along the way. I worked with startups, enterprises, small and large businesses, agencies, where I was building a lot of platforms. I was building platforms. I was building their tech department, somehow, sometimes looking after their business, and also, in my free time, tinkering in AI solutions. So if you're curious about what a decade in this field looks like, you're in the right place. My journey started with a bachelor's of science in, chemistry of all things. Um, but then I quickly found my passion in tech. It was a random and an off chance thing where I was tasked to clean up some data. And I was like, okay, let's find a way to automate it if possible, because, well, we all know data entry jobs are boring, monotonous. So I learned Python, and that's where I started learning tech and quickly, started learning and loving it, in fact. Um, but it was not easy. I'll be very honest. I spent insane amount of hours debugging code, learning how to write simple syntax. And I started my journey in Python. So relatively it was, a bit easier, but the pain was real. The understanding and debugging, writing code. What does this, if syntax do? What does the while loop do in Python? And then, help build a small product for my that time firm. Um, so that's where I began. I remember spending hours in, you know, thinking about the problem statement. What the hell does this syntax do? And I started reading a lot of code also at that time from GitHub primarily. Uh, What I learned in that time in my early days and foundations were majorly three things. That if you do not have a good foundation, you will not be able to be successful or even excellent um, at coding or engineering or software engineering. The other thing that I learned was patience and persistence. You have to be very patient with yourself. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So I would request all of you who are watching to be patient with yourself. It's fine if you are stuck somewhere. It's fine if you're not able to make progress in some problem statement. But trust me, you will reach there. You will find a solution as long as you're continuously working towards it. And lastly, don't be afraid to ask for help. This is a mistake which I've made, honestly. And I do make it sometimes, even now, where, asking my boss will make sure, will somehow demean me, or prove to somebody else that, I don't know how to code or I'm not passionate about it. Or I will just reach there as an imposter. So all those feelings of subtle feelings of fear do come in. Even now they do come in for a lot of people. So don't be afraid. Ask for help. Ask for whatever you need. You may not get the answer that you want. You may sometimes just get the direction to go there, So that's fine. Just keep pushing at it. That's all. Moving on from there, I gained a lot of experience doing that around 3.5, 4 years, I would say, is the mid career for a lot of engineers, where you start getting pushed into the senior hierarchy, where you are asked to become a senior engineer in your particular designation or domain. Front end engineers become senior front end engineers, or SD 1, 2, 3, and so on. You start climbing the ladders a little bit faster, and because you've now have the experience of the industry. So some same thing happened with me. I worked with, believe I was working with a startup in Bangalore, India, and I quickly rose through the ranks to tech lead. Rising hierarchy, going above in hierarchy was, well, I'll be honest, the designations are meaningless. I've had a lot of experience and chances, or rather, I should say, by God's grace, I've been given the opportunity to be responsible for designing software, start, taking on more responsibilities. And my mentors have helped me with that as well. Um, from building microservices to working with cloud infrastructure is something that I've built, dabbled or started dabbling in my mid career. Um, Leaning towards system design, leaning towards software architecture, leaning towards data architecture, has was, I would say, the key differentiator. And that quickly, helped me gain a lot of traction and a lot of, praises and credits in the organizations that I was working in. What I learned in the mid career was very simple, actually. Um, it's you have to keep learning. If you say that I don't like AI, it's going to take away my job, and so I don't want to learn AI. I'm sorry to say, you have to learn it if you want to be relevant. Tech is the fastest. Software and engineering is the fastest evolving field right now. Has been for the past, I don't know, 2 decades, 3 decades now. Ever since the internet bubble, many things that you can learn. There's many things you won't be able to because of the time constraints or your resource constraints or whatever. Same goes for me. I don't know everything, but I can confidently say that I know a lot of things, and I'm confident on those, abilities of knowing a lot of things and then implementing them. Second thing that I learned was understanding system design and architecture. That is plain and simple. You have to understand how the larger picture works. You have to get out of your shoes, off your desk, get out of your perspective of, learning React and fixating on React completely. You have to move out to, let's say, a Flutter, or move out to, let's say, a backend engineering side of things. So, um, if you want to grow in your career, my 2 cents, you have to keep learning. You have to keep asking for help, and you need to be able to think of the larger picture. Collaboration and teamwork is something that I learned. I was working as a solo engineer most of the time in the earlier career, where you have to learn and you have to prove yourself. But I quickly understood that, I alone can't build an entire system. Even if I want to, I can't. I'm a human being and I need to know my limitations. I can't build an entire system alone or even maintain it or manage it. That was my fallacy or my realization in my early and mid career things. So while we've spoken a lot about my careers and my business, and I've given you some recommendations, how do you navigate these? How did I navigate these? So I can give you my example because that's what I know the best. I've also groomed a lot of people, around 30 odd engineers in my career so far. This is what I tell them. Whenever you are faced with complex technical problems, sometimes projects don't go as plans, you know, sometimes the deadlines are too tight. You have to build an entire, feature within a day instead of 2 weeks that you usually get in a sprint. So I remember very vividly, I was working for a startup in Hyderabad, India. And we had outsourced our front end to a vendor. And what happened was, while I was responsible for the entirety of the backend, the front end was completely built by the vendor. Now, when we started looking and, taking download of the front end and started seeing the connections and started seeing the UI, which was built in Vue, that time it was Vue 2, if I'm not wrong. What happened was the Vue project it was horrible, to say the least. And we had a delivery in 3 days. While we had tests coming in, the testers were not experienced. So you get into such situations where the testers don't know what to test, where the front-end engineers or the back-end engineers don't know what to code. They don't have clear user stories defined or feature plans defined. And it's all a headless chicken scenario, where everybody's running to finish something, but they don't know what to finish and what to build. And this was the problem that I had experienced. I quickly realized that the problem was not really with the engineers themselves. It was a problem of management, where there was no management. There was no project manager allocated to it. There was no Jira. There was no Excel sheet as well to manage. So it was a very tough experience for me. But I learned a lot from that experience. Is the first thing that I learned was I have to solve problems as an engineer. That's my job. I have to solve problems when it comes to either using software or using my, managerial skills or just communication, whatever they may be. I have to solve problems as an engineer, or else I don't think I can call myself an engineer if I can't solve problems. There will be bajillion roadblocks, bugs, unexpected issues, like I mentioned. You have to stay calm, analyze the situation, and then find solution. If you keep fixating on the problem, you will never find the solution. Fixate on the problem so long till you get a solution. Move fast, move forward. Don't look back. That's one big thing that I learned. One more thing that I learned is you will fail. And I experienced this severely, in fact. You have to learn not just from your failures, you have to learn from failures of people around you as well. So my failure partly was attributed to my own burning out, taking up too much responsibilities, not caring about my schedule, not caring about my health, so on and so forth. And also, I focused heavily on technical skills, which are important. But over time, I've realized that even as a software engineer, I need to communicate. It's not just about writing good code. It's not just about writing good documentation or building fancy and beautiful APIs. It was more about being able to communicate my problem statements and also being able to understand somebody else's problem statement. Because if I don't understand the problem statement, I will not be able to solve it. So effective communication is very, very crucial. Empathy and diverse perspectives is very crucial. Again, different people will come with different opinions at all time. You may want to build something which uses, let's say, Golang Superbase as your service provider for database and authentication. Someone else will come and say, oh, no, we want to host our own Postgres in-house, not use Superbase, but and also not use Superbase auth. Just an example, There might be pros and cons to both. Understand both. What is the objective of the goal? What goal you want to reach? You need to be very clear on that. Once you're clear on that goal, you'll be able to understand, okay, what problem statement and what solution fits where. This also comes with, when you do system design learning, you are forced to think of pros and cons, of objectives and targets, how many resources are going to be used, what's the budget, and so on and so forth. Eventually, what you also will need is leadership skills. And this I learned very early in my career. If I hadn't taken lead on the backend, I am sure that the backend would have been, in some projects would not have been complete, or they would have been developed horribly badly. So learn to build up the leadership skills where it's more about taking accountability, taking responsibility, and also contributing to team decisions. And I'm telling you, if you're able to build that sort of rapport with your coworkers, they will recommend you indirectly to be pushed to a leadership position. Final piece of advice from my experience, 10 years, I've been very, very, very grateful for the journey. It's been fun. It's been passionate. It's been amazing, to say the least. And I've gotten the opportunity to work with some of the best people in the industry, whether it be an agency, whether it be a startup, whether it be an enterprise, whether it be by my, juniors or seniors, whoever. I've worked with some insane people, very smart people. They're just that good. It's been rewarding. That's all I can, conclude. So finally, as a conclusion, I would say, stay curious, never stop learning, find your passion, and talk to people. Learn to build your vocabulary a little bit. Doesn't matter. Learn, keep learning, keep learning, keep learning. There's no end to the knowledge. And I'm here, so you can come to me. You can like and subscribe to my channel. My first video. More than happy to bring up, answer your comments, help you grow in your career as a software engineer. I can share more of my mistakes. And if you like such content, let me know. I will be putting out more content. And in future, we will be taking up a little bit of a deep dive into, building up small softwares, AI, a little bit about how you can build, what decisions to take when you're building something and why to take certain decisions. As I see, that becomes more of a problem statement. So let me know down in the comments and like and subscribe what you think. Thank you so much.